Let's start with the daily guide. Vote for me, I'll make Baumia president. Watching Jackal there. And then AXA $1 million bribery. OSP list Kwabena Donko added suspicions of interest. And the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, rejects gold seal loss claims against Gold Board. And then I'm right here. Dairy farm residents to petition Mahama over demolition on September 8. Police interdict officer over Boteman race cause destruction. And ministerial reshuffle. Pelpo Bruja Jemfi dispatched to Jubilee House.
The custodian also has stories about Boachie Jacko, and it's the same thing. He's asking that he would make sure that Bawumia becomes president in 2028. Ejako commits to Bawumia's 2028 victory under his chairmanship. And there's this one. Winston, last week I think we talked about religion, and Mustafa Abdul Hamid is urging us. He says, let's respect Ghana's religious diversity. It's a good thing to think about. And then the Center for Policy Scrutiny, CPS, is to evaluate the 9-year free SHS journey.
The Hawk newspaper, vigilantes are back in disguise. That is the National Security Coordinator speaking as the National Security targets rebranded groups going online. When Tumi drops chairmanship bid, stay united, he says. And Dr. Julius Deborah Palmer must be won with ballots, not force. And Napo, if Bawumia does not become president, no one in the NPP can. That is all on the front page of the Hawk newspaper.
The Business and Financial Times, it has diaspora purchasing power fails housing patronage test. Recovery real, but structurally incomplete. That's the World Bank. Gofield offers increased value sharing in Takwa lease renewal. And there's this one. BOG, SEC seek tighter oversight of fast-growing virtual asset market.
The Free Press needs assessment for public tertiary health sector worrying. Totobi Kwache criticizes handling of Ayawasu West Wogon violence report and spearhead bold reforms to advance continental integration. Ambassador DKO say Saglemi housing project to be ready by March 2027 and Ghanaians hold 10 Guinness World Records.
The Daily Searchlight, tribunals are back as Mahama signs tribunals bill into law despite opposition from minority, Labour and Bawumia. Boachie Jacko submit forms and pledges to work for Dr. Bawumia. MPP will rise again. Salam Mustafa files to contest national organizer position. Man kills mother over father's 2,000 funeral donation.
Wow.
Asemo.
2,000?
2,000 cedis. Poverty.
The Inside newspaper, Mahama reassigns Labour Deputy Defence Ministers in micro-ministerial shake-up.
Oh, micro-ministerial shake-up. Okay.
The Bretton Woods deceit, while the International Monetary Fund's Africa policy is under development. That opinion is on the front page of the Inside newspaper. And Honorable Jifatega of Impala Foundation commissions 10 mechanized boreholes for Vume community. China says it opposes U.S. economic warfare against Iran.
The showbiz.
Okay, yes, let's get into the showbiz.
The showbiz has on its cover tourism, not only concerts. And of course, there's a photo of Koda, gone too soon, but never gone from our playlist. And it also has this regal photo of the wedding of Bozoma St. John's and her husband, Kelly. And I think that was last week. It's on the front page of the show.
Yeah, it's put Ghana on the map again. I mean, I'm always excited when I see Ghanaians, wherever they may be, identify with the motherland.
Yeah,
for me that's refreshing. Let's go online. And let's start with myjoyonline.com.
Yes, myjoyonline.com. Government must put its skin in the game. Chamber of Mines demands tax power relief for local gold refining. And don't exclude us, then blame us for indiscipline. Catholic bishops on GES council removal. Can we give refineries more cheap power? Chamber of Mines pushes energy solution for local gold refining. And then Parliament to vet Senator Ajiman Rawlings, Bahama Yarga today. Gold Board must bear the cost. Small-scale miners back higher operational costs to protect jobs. The minority accuses majority of wasting parliamentary time after emergency recall.
CityNewsroom.com, $1.7 billion lost largely an accounting issue, not Gold Board loss. That's according to the IEA. And high business costs threaten Ghana's growth and diversification. World Bank, 1 billion cedis reconstruction fund to evenly develop Boku, according to President John Dramani Mahama. And we are not angry enough to deal with Galamsey, Presby moderator. Ghana to build biggest power plant since independence at Toforson, and growing indiscipline in schools will put Ghana in trouble. That's according to the Presby moderator. Complete stalled hospital projects. Presbyterian moderator urges government. And final one here says Galamsey being institutionalized as source of employment. Catholic bishops. Okay, let's get into the details then.
Yes, yesterday the OSP spoke, and in fact the special prosecutor should say, and he declared a rebirth of the office of the special prosecutor, and he's declared some persons as persons of interest. And after 1 million bribery, OSP lists Kwabena Donko others as persons of interest. On page 3 of the Daily Guide, the office of the special prosecutors identified Kwabena Donko, a former minister of power under President Mohammed's first term, and others as persons of interest in ongoing investigations in relation to more than $1 million bribe paid to some Ghanaian officials between 2014 and 2015 in connection with the development of a power plant in Ghana. Mr. Donko was the Minister of Power, and the government of Ghana was negotiating with Turkish company AXA Energy to generate more electricity for Ghana during the ongoing power crisis, popularly known as Dumso. Other individuals identified by the OSP as persons of interest include Francis Walkson Kwesi-Jatta, then technical advisor to the Minister of Power Solomon Ajete Sowa, the Deputy Director at the Ministry of Power Lending George Nisol Metal, then a Director at Tricop Group Limited, and Bafo and Koma Brobe, an employee at Tricop Group Limited. The OSP indicated that other persons of interest include some present and former employees of the Volta River Authority, Ghana Grid Company, ECG, Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, and some staff of the entity formerly known as the Power Ministry. So yeah, hopefully we can get to see the end of this. Obviously, the Deputy Attorney General spoke the last time to Evans and indicated that Yoko was going to be investigating this, and the OSP too is doing this. I think the two institutions must get in line. One of them must do this.
So what does the law say? I thought that the law was very clear that corruption and corruption-related offences be handled by the OSP.
Well, it doesn't give you the exclusive power to do so. Yoko still investigate corruption-related offences, and according to the Deputy AG, there are other offences which they believe goes beyond the mandate of the OSP. They are money laundering offences and other things, and so they believe Yoko is more capable of dealing with it. But the two institutions obviously believe they have the power to do this. So it is not appropriate that two of them will be doing this at the same time. It's a waste of resources. If they have to work together to do that, fine. But to be working in silos, I don't think it will inure to the benefit of all of us at the end of the day.
Let's get into other stories.
Yes, Winston. This morning you said we're going to be talking about roads, and we've been told by the Ghanaian Times that the World Bank has approved a $500 million allocation to support road infrastructure in Ghana. And the Times has this editorial. I think we need to look at it. It says, beyond the $500 million, Ghana must maintain what it builds. And maintenance culture has been one of the things we talk about. And it says the approval of $500 million by the World Bank to improve Ghana's roads infrastructure and transform the transport sector is welcome news at a time when deteriorating roads continue to exact a heavy toll on the economy and the daily lives of citizens. Under the Ghana Market Access and Connectivity Project, the funding will finance the rehabilitation of about 1,050 kilometers of feeder roads through performance-based maintenance contracts. The project is expected to improve connectivity, boost agricultural productivity, reduce transport costs, and support rural livelihoods. Of course, the World Bank's talked about the fact that about 56.4% of Ghanaians are in poverty. And of course, if these roads or this funding comes in to improve road infrastructure, we expect that it would pull people out of poverty, with the works or the jobs that will be given to local people, and this can be done through some of these jobs.
More than 20 years ago, when I entered the University of Cape Coast, as part of African Studies, Kokwashanti, there was a course, and I did, as part of my African Studies, African Economies and Development. I was taught by the late Pico Joakwa. We used to call him Pico Joakwa, And in that course, we're looking at, the challenges of development in Africa. Because you mentioned lack of maintenance, it was clear. And, I remember this because at the time we're having this conversation, we asked, Why is it that we build things and never maintain them? In other jurisdictions, roads can last. In our part of the world, first we'll build poor roads. And even the poor roads that we build, we don't maintain them. So in no time, the roads are bad. I'm happy, the Times has picked this up, because one of the things I've realized also is that when we consistently discuss these issues, the people tasked with maintaining them remember that they have to maintain them, and they do the right thing.
Yeah.
Those in authority know, and I'm happy that as part of a work I'm doing on promotion of accountability, people in Parliament, those ministers, they all agree that when the media agenda moves to a public agenda, it definitely will become a policy agenda, and things will change. We need to change things. But let's get into a bit of politics. What's Boache Jaku saying?
Boache Jaku says he's the man to take Dr. Bawumia to the Jubilee House, and that story is on page 3 of the Daily Guide. Again, he says, former energy minister and aspiring national chairman of the NPP, Boache Jaku, has promised to lead the party to secure victory for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the 2028 presidential election and restore the party's majority in parliament if elected national chairman. Addressing over 50 constituency chairmen and the media after filing his nomination forms at the party's headquarters in Accra, he said his vision was anchored on what he described as Operation One Touch, a strategy aimed at achieving 2 victories in one election, electing Dr. Bawumia as president and restoring the parliamentary majority. So that one is there. Let me do some other politics also, because yesterday the president did some changes to his government, and the papers have been describing it as a micro reshuffle with Abdul Rashid Purple being moved to the presidency, and it says President Mahama has made further changes to his government, reassigning 2 ministers and a deputy minister in the latest ministerial shakeup. The changes announced yesterday, signed by Felix Kwachu Ofosu, spokesperson to the president, says the Labour Minister Abdul Rashid Purple has been reassigned to serve as Minister for State for Special Initiatives. He will be replaced by at the Labour Ministry by Emmanuel Kwejo-Ejekum, who becomes the new minister. The presidency did not immediately provide details on the specific responsibilities that Purple will assume under the new portfolio. In another change, Deputy Minister for Defence Ernest Broja-Jemfi was also reassigned to serve as presidential advisor on national resilience and emergency preparedness. So that is like a presidential staffer, right?
Yes. But Kukwa Sante, the bit about Boache Jaku.
Yeah.
I've listened to Osei Chairman Sabun to make the point that he felt that a Bawumia Alan ticket would have helped the NPP. Now, and he has been an apostle of, negotiation, agree on who should lead political parties.
Yeah.
I think that the NPP should sit down and begin to look at who can lead the NPP. The good thing for the NPP is that they know who their flag bearer is.
Yeah.
So if you know if you know your flag bearer, you ask yourself who can best serve your interest. Look, in choosing running mates and choosing party chairman and all of that, we don't say these things because nobody's going to admit it. But where you come from matters. Did you realize that all of a sudden you found on social media that, Neil Ante van der Boy has finished his own chairmanship bid?
Yeah.
Because there is some kind of a gentleman's agreement in the NDC that their chairman this time around should be from the Greater Accra region. There's some gentleman's agreement that, the chairmanship this time should be from the Greater Accra. There were those who felt that Professor Joshua Alabi should be. He doesn't seem to. I think he still wants to be president. So you have Neil Ante van der Boy. He was a man in a comfortable lead until
last week.
Until last week. So the NPP would have to sit down and figure out things, okay? And that's the only challenge Paul Afoko faces. Even though he's from the Upper East region, Bawumia is from the Northeast. But in Ghana's politics, we'll say North.
Yeah, but I think that must end. Because, I mean, if you have a national chairman of the NPP from the Eastern region and you have a presidential candidate from the Ashanti region, nobody will say the leaders are from the South. So the north of Ghana have distinct regions who are different people. So, and I've heard the point being made that, they are from the North. They are not from the North is like a nebulous, description of all the regions, the various ethnicities that are there.
When
Because we won't say South,
Alban
let's not say North.
when Alban Bagbing decided to contest as president, he said something. He said, when he said we are from the North, no, people must appreciate that there's Northern region, there's Upper East, there's Upper West. You see, that thing we're doing would amount to social studies because the people who are there will not buy it.
Yeah. Let me do a quick something because, I mean, the first story we did about the OSP, I mentioned that in my view, I mean, if you look at the Yoko Act, there are those who disagree. I get a message from someone, I don't have his permission to mention his name, but he's working at the OSP, and he says Yoko has no corruption power. I disagree because if you look at section, quickly, if you look at section 2A of the Yoko Act, it says Yoko has the power to actually investigate or generally, the objects of the office are to prevent and detect organized crime.
So listen.
And if you define organized crime,